Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello dear students, welcome to another lecture. In this class, we are going to begin with tenses from class 11th Alternative English, Nagaland 4. Now in the previous videos, we've discussed about verbs as well as adverbs, and now we shall talk about the last topic of your book, which is tenses. Now as we've discussed earlier when we were doing verbs, tenses is that grammar topic which tells us whether the action took place in the present, past or the future. So it tells us about the time when the action takes place. Now there are different types of tenses on the basis of when the action took place. If we are talking about the present, we have the simple present, present continuous, present perfect and the present perfect continuous. If we talk about the past, we have simple past, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. And if we consider the future, we have the simple future, future continuous, future perfect and the future perfect continuous. We shall discuss about each of these tenses, the rules on the basis of which we form a sentence in each of the tense as well as their usage. First, let us talk about the simple present tense. Now, one thing that you have to remember about the simple present tense is, if my subject in the simple present tense is singular, my verb will have either S or an ES to the end of it. And if my subject is plural, then my verb will only be written in its original base form. So this is the rule that we need to remember with respect to formation of a simple present tense. For example, she is a singular subject, so she eats a cake every Sunday. He drinks milk every morning. It rains in Meghalaya. Singular subjects, therefore I added S or ES at the end of it. If I talk about the plural subjects such as I, we, they, you, so they eat a cake every Sunday. We live in New Delhi. They stay up late till night and so on and so on. So this is how a sentence is to be framed. With singular subjects, we always add an S or ES to the end of the verb. And with the plural subjects, we use only the base form of the verb. Now let us talk about when do we use the simple present tense. We use the simple present tense first for an action that is taking place at the present. Okay, I live in New Delhi, I study in class 12 and so on and so forth. For a daily routine or an habitual action, I go for a morning walk every day, I go to temple every morning, I drink milk before sleeping every night. So these are daily routines, they are regular habits. To talk about the universal truths, those things that will always hold true and cannot be denied by anyone. For example, the sun revolves around the earth or the earth revolves around the sun. The Taj Mahal is in Agra. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. These are all the universal truths. Then those actions which will take place repeatedly, that will always keep on taking place. So this becomes a regularity. And when we are talking about something which is regular in nature, we obviously talk about the simple present tense. And also we use the simple present tense to talk about an action which is planned for the future. The movie releases tomorrow. I play or I my brother goes to Amritsar next week. So anything that is planned, the word here is planned. So those things which have already been planned for the future, we use the simple present tense for them. And as I told you, what is the structure? Subject plus the first form of the verb. If the subject is singular, we add s or es at the end of the subject, and if it is plural, we simply use the base form of the verb. For example, I eat breakfast every day. He eats breakfast at 7 every day. The sun sets in the west. She visits her grandmother every summer. The film releases tomorrow. The next is the simple past tense. Now for the simple past tense, we need to remember that the verb is to be used in the second form. Even if my subject is singular or it is plural, I am going to use the second form of verb in the sentence. So, I will always use the second form of the verb. The second form of the verb may either, if it is a regular verb, then we can make the second form of the verb by simply adding an ed at the end of it, the way we have learnt. And if it is an irregular verb, then we ought to remember the different forms of the verb. There may be certain sentences in which the main verb is not there, but the helping verb is there. So what are the helping verbs that we use for the past tense? Was and were. So either the sentence will have a second form along with the subject, or if it does not have a main verb, it will have either was or were along with the subject. Now, when do we use the simple past tense? First, when we have to talk about an action that was completed earlier, completed before now, that is in the past. For example, I ate the breakfast in the morning. He slept early last night. They went for a movie last week. So something that happened in the past. To talk about a past habit or a routine. So a routine or a habit that you had earlier. I went to the temple every morning. I played football with my friends. I went for a morning walk every day. So those things that did in the past. And then expressing regret through the verb wish. If you are feeling regretful about something, we use the simple past tense for that. For example, I wish I were there, or I wish you came here yesterday. I wish I were able to meet you on that day. So when you are expressing a wish, we use the simple past tense. For this wish, you must remember, you might have gone through these sentences also in English. We usually give you a hypothetical situation that if I were the Prime Minister of the country, or if I were a bird. So I use were, the past, the past tense. So the reason being, because whenever we have to talk about a wish, we always use the simple past. Next type of tense is the present continuous tense. As the name in itself suggests, continuous. So that means I am going to add an ing to the form of the verb. So how do we form a present continuous tense? Is, am, are plus the first form of the verb plus ing to the end of it. Running, eating, sleeping, walking, dancing, singing, baking, shouting, and so on and so on. Now, when do we use the present continuous tense? First, to talk about those actions which are taking place in front of you when you are speaking. For example, when I am speaking, what are the actions that are taking place in front of me? If I say, I am teaching tenses. We are learning tenses. We are discussing the present continuous tense. We are talking about the structure of the present continuous tense, and so on and so forth. So when you are speaking, whatever actions are taking place in front of you, we describe them using the present continuous tense. The next usage of the present continuous tense is to talk about an action or a situation that is taking place currently. Not in front of you, but you know that it is taking place presently. For example, I know that at this time, my brother is watching television. My mother is playing a game in her mobile. My father is reading a book. Okay. So though you cannot see that, but you know that this time, this is what happens every day. So you know that must be happening at the present moment. Next, we use the present continuous tense to talk about those habits or actions that we usually do. I am always running late. They are always fighting with each other. She is always cooking something in the kitchen. We are always looking forward to meet you. So the word always, the adverb always, basically represents an action which is a habit or an action that is often repeated. The next usage of the present continuous tense is to talk about an event which is planned for the future. So an event that you have planned will take place in the future. Okay. I am preparing for, let's say, NET exams. Or my brother is writing a book. My mother is publishing her stories next year. My father is buying a car next month. So, some event that you have planned for the future, we use the present continuous tense. Okay? And next we have the past continuous tense. So, past continuous tense, when we use was, were, plus the first form of the verb and ing. Was sleeping, was playing, was eating, was reading, were talking, were sleeping, were shouting, were dancing, so on and so forth. So this is how we use the past continuous tense. Now how and where do we use the past continuous tense? The first usage of the past continuous tense is to talk about those actions that were going on in the past. For example, if I say, my brother was sleeping at 9 p.m. last night. My father was doing a video call with his brother today morning. My mother was going through a recipe. So, something that was going on in the past. Next, if I want to talk about the action that was going on, when or while some other action took place. For example, when, or if I say, I was talking on phone when my father came home. I was eating Maggie when my brother disturbed me. My mother was watching television when there was a power shortage. So, when we are talking about two actions that are taking place, we use the past continuous. Okay? Next, we have the present perfect tense. For the present perfect tense, we use has, have, plus the past participle form of the verb. That means the third form of the verb. Have done, has done, have gone, has gone, have broken, has verb, have, verb, and so on and so forth. What are we supposed to remember here? With the singular subject in a sentence, we use has. And if my subject is plural in nature, we use. So this is what you need to remember when talking about the present perfect tense. When do we use the present perfect tense now? We use the present perfect tense to talk about some action that began in the past but continued till the present. I have worked in this company since 1990. So, me working with the company began in the past, but it is still in process. I have learned to drive a car in 1980. So, I started learning in 1980, but now I still know I cannot forget how to drive a car now, right? So, an action that began in the past and it continued till the present, we use the present perfect tense for that. Next, for a past action, the effect of which can be seen in the present. He has broken the vase and is very scared. I have got a job and am very happy. My mother has made a wonderful dish and I am looking forward to that. So, something that took place in the past and the effect of the same can be seen in the present. Next, we use the present perfect tense to talk about an action that repeated several times, again and again, for the past many years. If I say, he has been elected, if I say, yes. So, he has been elected as the Prime Minister for the past 5 years. So, something that took place in the past and is still continuing. He has gone to Thailand several times, or he has visited to Thailand several times. So, the action which is repeated several times, we use the present perfect tense. If you wish to talk about some experience of yours or to talk about some change that has occurred over a period of time. For example, our national income has increased in the last 5 years. This is the change that has taken place. My mother has gone or has grown slimmer over the past 2 years. My brother has grown fatter over the past 2 years. So some change that you are talking about. And next we use the present perfect tense to talk about an action that took place at an unknown time that we are talking about. For example, if I say, my mother has woken up, I need to go. Obviously, this is self-understood that my mother must be sleeping in the house only. My brother has arrived, I have to go. My father has come home, I have to go. So, something that has taken place, but you don't know the place where the action took. Okay. Next, we have the past perfect tense. Past perfect tense, we simply use had plus the past participle, that is the third form of the verb. Even if my subject is singular or it is plural, I use only and only had in that sense. For example, had written, had woken, had got, had worked, had eaten, and so on and so on. When do we use the past perfect tense now? We use the past perfect tense to talk about a past action that took place before something else began. So it started in the past and it ended in the past only. I had written a letter to my mother. So I started writing that in the past and I completed that in the past itself. She had been to Europe. So she did that. It has been a long time since that action began and it got completed. Next, we use the past perfect tense in the reported speech. Direct, indirect speech, when we talk about them, we always use the reported speech for that. For example, my mother said that she had known this person earlier. I said to my brother that I had been to that place earlier. So these were the simple present, present continuous, present perfect, simple past, past continuous, and the past perfect tense. Okay? Let us look at the exercises based on the same. Write the tense form of the sentences. So you are given with 5 sentences and we have to identify the tense forms. She likes to buy things from the store. So this is simple present. Impong left the office early today. So this is simple past. We are going to his house. So this is present continuous. They were still cooking, were cooking. So past continuous. I have traveled. So this is simple, or rather this is the present perfect. Okay. Now let us look at the second question. Fill in the blanks with the correct tense form of the verb given in the bracket. So in the bracket you are given with some verbs, you have to use them in the correct tense. They dashed together in the school before they went to the college. So they studied together in the school, past tense, before they went to the college. The children dashed very late last night, so slept. At 3 in the afternoon, I am usually watching television. This is a routine that you do every day. So I am usually watching television. Moreover, I have am. So with am, I use the continuous form of the verb. They dashed together when an earthquake struck the city. So they were playing together when an earthquake struck the city. She dashed us several times since she left the country. So she visited us, or she has visited us several times since she left the country. Read the conversation and circle the errors in the tenses. Akol says, I am just left for school. I have, or I am just leaving for school. Where are you? I have already leaving for school. No, I have already left for school. I am on my way. I get late today because I overslept. No, I got late today because I overslept. I have always had set the wake up alarm before going to bed. I always set the wake up alarm before going to bed. I forgot to set the alarm. I was too tired because I have been on the football ground all day. Because I had been, past tense, I had been on the football ground. Okay. Next, let us talk about the present perfect continuous tense. What we read so far was the present perfect tense. Now we are going to discuss about the present perfect continuous tense. Now what is the sentence structure of this tense? Subject plus has or have plus been and the ing form of the verb. I have been thinking about my best friend. She has been playing cricket since morning. They have been running behind the mouse. We have been eating together since a week. And if I wish to make an interrogative sentence out of that, a question sentence, so has or have plus the subject plus been and ing form of the verb. Have you been working late at night? Has she been sleeping till late in the morning? Have they been working together now? And so on and so on. Okay? Now, when do we use the present perfect continuous tense? So, we use the present perfect continuous tense to talk about an action that began in the past, but it is still continuing. So, an action that began in the past and is still continuing. She has been working with this company since the past 2 years. It began in the past and she's still working with them. I have been trying to connect with you since morning. I started in the past and I'm still doing. They have been trying to learn a new language since the past 2 days. So, something that began in the past and is still continuing, we use the present perfect continuous tense. Second use of the present perfect continuous tense is to talk about an action that has just stopped, but the effect can still be seen on the present. So there was an action that was taking place. It is discontinued now, but its effect can still be seen. She is tired because she has been working since morning. So what is the action? She has been working since morning. And what is the effect of it in the present? That she is tired. The players are thirsty because they have been running for a long time. So what is the action that we are talking about? The players running for a long time. And what is the effect of it? That they are thirsty. If I say, has he been playing all evening? He has not done his, homework. So what is the action? He playing all the morning, all the evening, and what is the effect of it in the present? He has not done the homework. Next use of the present perfect continuous tense is to talk about an action that has been repeating for a certain period of time. So an action that has been repeating for a certain period of time, for the past 5 months, for the past 2 years, for the past 1 week. When you have such time duration, we use the present perfect tense. Nini has been taking care of me for 2 months. I have been explaining to him the importance of trying ever since he was a young boy. Has she been training with the army these 5 years? So, the time duration for the action has been given. Now, let us look at some questions in order to understand whether we've comprehended this topic well or not. The first question says, tick the sentences that are in present perfect continuous tense. We have sat, no. We had sat, no. We have been sitting, yes. We were sitting, no. We had been sitting. Next is, change the sentences to present perfect continuous tense. The little boy is not eating since morning. This changes to has not been eating since morning. We feel sick ever since we ate at your restaurant. We have been feeling sick ever since we ate at your restaurant. I read on this topic for several years. I have been reading on this topic for several years. We have wasted the natural resources since the beginning of the modern age. We have been wasting the natural resources since the beginning. It is raining a lot since the last 2 weeks. It has been raining a lot since the past 2 weeks. Okay? Now the next question says, fill in the blanks with the correct form of the verb given in the bracket. I dash your film since childhood, so I have been watching. You dash regularly and that's why you did well. Practice, so you have been practicing. Miss Sequoia's dash in the school for 15 years, has been teaching. They dash for the entrance test for a year, have been preparing. My children dash me a lot with the household chores for some days, have been helping. Okay, so this was the present perfect continuous tense. Next, let us talk about the past perfect continuous tense. Now, past perfect continuous tense, first let us talk about the formation, the structure of the past perfect continuous tense. Okay, so first if we talk about the structure, in the present perfect continuous tense we use has, have, plus been, plus the ing form of the verb. In the past perfect continuous tense we use had, plus been, plus the ing form of the verb. And if we use the question, then had, plus subject, plus been, plus the ing form of the verb. Now, if we talk about where do we use the past perfect continuous tense, 3 places. First, we use past perfect continuous tense to talk about an action that started in the past and continued until just, in the past second, or it got completed just now. For example, I had been sleeping in my room when the doorbell rang. So, when the doorbell rang, I had still been sleeping in the room. She had been exercising before she fainted. So, she had been exercising before what happened? Before she fainted. Had you been living in Dubai when she was born? So, the second action took place and at the same time, the first action had already started in the past. This is the first use of the past perfect continuous tense. The second use of the past perfect continuous tense is to talk about a past action or event that was the cause of some other past action. The reason has been told to you, the cause for some other action has been told to you. For example, I made a sandwich because I had been feeling hungry. I watched a movie because I had been feeling bored. Sano was tired because she had been running. My mother was sleeping because she had been working hard. Okay? Then, when we talk about the reported speech, the direct and the indirect speech, again, we use the past perfect continuous tense. He said that he had been trying to call his friend since morning. She reported that she had been experimenting on plants for the past 5 years. She answered that she had been writing this letter since the last few hours. So for the reported speech, we use the past perfect continuous. Okay, dear students. Now let us look at the questions that follow it. Take the sentences that are in the past perfect continuous tense. He said he practiced on this ground ever since he was 5. No. He said he practices on the ground. No. He said he had practiced. No. He said he had been practicing on the ground. He said he was practicing on the ground. No. Okay. Change the following sentences to past perfect tense. I ran for an hour when you came to the gym. I had been running for an hour. Her eyes were swollen because she cried since morning. So her eyes were swollen because she had been crying since morning. She studied hard since morning so she could play in the evening. She had been studying hard. Since morning so that she could play in the evening. When I read the essay, it was clear he worked hard on it. When I read the essay, it was clear that he had been working hard on it. My mother gifted me a bike because I wished to purchase one for a long time. Because I had been wishing to purchase one for a long time. Okay? Next question says, fill in the blank using the correct form of the verb given in the bracket. I was nervous because I had been hoping to clear the test. Did you say that you had been living in Mumbai? I had been skipping breakfast all week. Dash, you dash on junk food before you feel sick. Had you been feeding on junk food before you fell sick? The little boy fell sick because he had been playing in the rain for long. So this is how, my dear students, we solve the questions related to the past continuous tense. I'm going to pause here now, and in the next part of the lecture, we will start with the future tense. So I shall see you all now in my next lecture.